GEM Academy Membership Hub is officially reopening its doors. GEM is the Global Empowerment Movement Academy for women who want to inspire and create influence and impact in their communities and globally. So if you are a woman who wants to create a better lifestyle for yourself and your family, and you may even have a side hustle and want to make more money while you sleep, this is the network for you. We're given an opportunity for 5 women who are bold, who are brave and have a vision and are ready to up-level and elevate and excel in their business. At GEM, you will create, build and grow within a sisterhood of like-minded women on the rise. So, do yourself a favour today. Join GEM without delay. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. So after last week's conversation, we stemmed off something new. So we're going to be having a conversation today. I have a beautiful guest as well. Now, you would see all over Facebook, those of you who are on YouTube, there is a link. Now, if you have something of value to say, and I'm saying something of value to say, then you may be invited into the chat. So we're trying something a little bit new in the running as we are preparing for the new After Dark / Yvonne Michele show that starts on the 22nd of February. I am super, super excited, but I'm just trying to ting. I'm trying to ting. And so I'm just welcoming you all in as you're coming in, I tell you what you do. You need to tell a friend. So before I get started, last week we had a conversation, had a lovely young lady, Lolly, who was in the chat with me, and we were talking about relationship versus companionship. And at the end of it, she said, "Oh, I forgot to say, if anyone's watching, she's single." So, we are, we are older. I was going to say something else. We are more mature. And we are looking for niceness in our later stages of life. It's not the late stage, but it's like the later stage to come. And so we want to be able to hook people up. Yeah, we want to be able to hook people up. But this is a relationship show. We talk about all things relationship. And tonight we are going to be talking about a post that I put on my my Facebook and my Instagram. Now the post read, "It's better to be single with high standards than in a relationship settling for less." And we had quite a few messages, and I'm going to take some time to read some of those out. But I do have a guest with me in the chat with me today. Okay, so I'm going to now come back in. I'll just put that onto my other Facebook page. And so I'm here, I'm coming back in to have this conversation with you. Right, so there we go. So I'm back. So, right, let's have a look. We've got comments coming in as well. So, hey, Angie, how you doing? How you doing? Long time. You crossed my mind. You did cross my mind the other day, and I was to reach out to you. So I hope you are well, Angie Mac. Good to have you here. So those of you who are watching, who know the score, send out messages to your friends, to your family, to your frenemies even, and let them know that we are having this conversation. Now, we're going to be here for about an hour or so. And while, so because we're going to be here an hour or so, the last time I was thirsty. So I'm just opening up, before I bring my guest in, I'm just opening up a little beverage for myself. It's called Prosecco. Yes, because we have to treat ourselves well. Okay, so whilst I'm here, I am doing this. It's not a public announcement, but I'm having a glass, and it's going to come out. Woo! There we go. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring in my lovely guest. Good to see my darling. Right, I'm going to bring her in. Hi, Charmaine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You're looking lovely, I must say.
Thank you, and you too, my darling.
Thank
Looking
you.
right, and I'm glad
Oh.
you've got good lighting. That's a good thing. So as I'm just
Trying.
yes, I'm trying. I'm keeping up. I'm keeping on. You know. So
Mm.
cheers, guys. No, it's that way. It's the opposite way. Cheers. Right. So tonight, Charmaine.
Okay.
So you were one of the writers, because once I put that post up last week,
Mm.
you responded. Um, you seem to have a lot to say. So I thought, you know what? Let me bring you on. Let's have an open conversation about this. So now there's been a lot of comments on the group, whether it's in the After Dark group or in on my personal page. There's been a lot of
Mm.
conversation around this, and so my view is what I'm going to ask you is what your take on it is. So it's better to be in a relationship with high standards than to be in a relationship where you are, you know, making do basically. So
Mm.
what is your views on sorry on that? What are your personal views? Get my notepad and pen.
Well, my personal views are informed by personal experience and like over the years, like when you're a teenager, you know, you you're learning, aren't you? You're learning about life, you're learning about what it is to be in a relationship and the give and take and you tolerate a lot. And when you get to this stage in life, your tolerance level goes down and you kind of know what you want. And you might have gone through lots of experiences on your journey to becoming a mature person. And then, you know, it gets to the point where you think, you know, I deserve better. You know, I've learned from my mistakes and you know you want better for yourself, don't you? Because life is it's like it's what you make it. And I
What
think
does
that
better mean to you? What does that look like? When you say better, what does that look like?
better is what every woman deserves. I think every woman deserves to be loved right. I believe, well, anybody, women and men. I think um, people don't always have a clear understanding of what is should be acceptable and what shouldn't be, you know. And I think it's an education that we need to give to the young people coming up more so now than ever before because of the way that society is. Um, Anything that makes you feel uncomfortable or dumbed down, or you can't feel free within a relationship to be able to express yourself and to be understood um, without being belittled, or where you feel like you're not put as a priority in a relationship is not good enough, I would say.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you know that everybody deserves to feel loved in a
Yeah.
relationship, and in terms of where we are as the more mature, um, personal experience has got a lot to play in the whole terminology of do we
Mm.
settle? Do we
Mm.
settle or do we just say no, I'd rather be on my own? Now, the general consensus of what was written
Mm.
was better to have the high standards and be on your own. That was a general consensus, which is
Mm.
really it's not worrying, but it is worrying. On one sense, it's worrying because the whole family dynamic is now become so distorted.
Mm.
And that's why I think it's kind of, it's a scary kind of thought for me, that if we, you know, we can't have what we want, we can't have the relationships we want, therefore the family's breaking down, the whole ethos of the family is breaking down. But at the same time, the other side of me is like, well, no, because it is sad, but actually it's far better to be on your own and be happy than to be miserable.
Mm.
I think last week I said it is better to live on the roof, the side of a roof, than to live with a cantankerous woman.
Yeah,
Something
that's
so-
true.
or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? A
Mm.
cantankerous man or whatever you know, it's far better to do that. So, but
Mm.
you mentioned things about being, you know, being free in a relationship, free to express yourself and feel understood, and that you are the priority. Because one of the
Mm.
things that I wanted to really dig down into was the idea of the high standards, what that actually means. What is high standards to you? What does it mean? Because for me, the whole statement is very subjective. It
Mm.
depends on what you determine as high standards. Now, in conversations prior, I've had people talk to me about high standards, and it's about money,
Mm.
or there was a comment about elitism, or being up there with those types of people, and you know. But what does high standards mean to you as a woman?
I would rephrase that and say high value rather than high standards, because when you're talking about being up there, that's kind of from a materialistic standpoint. I
Mm,
think the value that you place on yourself as a person, um, and how somebody else values you is what I mean by high standards. Now, um, you can be up there with the Joneses, but be as miserable as heck in your relationship because the
mm,
person that you're with does not value you. They don't treat you with the respect that you deserve. And it really does goes both ways. It shouldn't just be what you expect of a person, it's what you give in a relationship as well,
mhm,
that um that demands that respect. Because when women don't value themselves and the person that they're with, they're not really, they won't really value them in return, if you get what I mean, because they don't. Um, I don't know. I think with guys, many times they will go as far as you'll allow them to go, and
that's
if
true.
you don't show them that you're not, you won't accept certain things, they might push the bullet a little bit. But then if you um, show them that you place value on yourself, it might make them raise their standards a bit in the way that they deal with people or deal with you as a partner. But you don't have to do it in a horrible way. You've got to just know what you want and say, this is what I look for in a relationship. You might
Mm,
not direct it at them per se and say, well, I want you to be like this or I want you to be that. You can say, well, this is what I would like in a relationship.
mm,
And it's something for them to aspire to if they aren't there yet. If you've got generally good relationship,
mhm,
and your communication is good, and you can have that discussion and you can exchange as to what their perception of a good relationship is and what yours is, and what they see in a woman as good or a virtuous woman or whatever, however they want to term it, um, and what you look for in a man.
mm,
um, it should be an open conversation where you can learn from each other and build together. It's a partnership thing as well as a companionship thing, as well as a relationship, if you get what
yeah.
I mean.
What
It
we found from
encompasses all
last,
of that.
say that again.
It encompasses all of that in order to be a productive situation, you know. If one can't express themselves freely to the other without feeling like the other person's going to feel a way about what they're saying, then it's
Mm,
kind of one-sided. It has to be um, balanced in a way where both can express themselves freely and say what it is they look for in a relationship, or they agree to work towards the happiness of
mm,
their partnership together. And if one isn't happy about something, they should be free enough to say, and the other one um, receives it because they want the success of the relationship. So they're
mm,
not defensive, but they're receptive of constructive criticism. Well, not necessarily criticism, but you know, the suggestion that things can be done differently, or
mm,
the person should be allowed to um, say, well, that really did upset me, or I was hurt by that, or that didn't make me feel good,
mm.
and that they want to work on it together. It can't be one sided, otherwise,
No,
that's where the stuff is coming, you know. So,
no.
but in saying all of that, it is better for you to be happy and free and on your own, because you don't being on your own doesn't mean you're alone. It doesn't mean that you're lonely, because your
Mm,
life could be full and you could
yes,
be a single person and be quite happy, and have friends, women friends and men friends, and you go and you have your socializing and whatever, and you come home to your yard in your own peace. Do you know what I mean? Or you know, if you feel that you have to be in a relationship, then choose wisely, or don't settle for a situation just
you,
because you
you
think
don't
it's just
settle. There's
hard
some,
to
you're
do.
giving some advice,
Um,
Charmaine. You don't settle. You
no, you
don't
don't.
settle.
It's not fair on you, and it's not fair on the person that you're with,
Mm,
because it doesn't show them that they need to improve, and it doesn't allow you to have peace of mind and happiness. And it's no point being in something where you're not happy, because you both be miserable and you won't be
yeah.
able to function properly. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go to some of the comments that we've had on this, and then we're just going to discuss what has been said.
Mm.
Hold on, let me see if I can move that right. Oh, okay. Let me pull this up. Right. So I was hoping that some would have been on the chat today. So we've had a lot of completely agree a topic right here. So Anne's said this is a great topic right here. Um, but we had like loads of people say 100%, 100%. The comment was it is better to be single with high standards than in a relationship settling for less. Now we had a comment um, that said this is from a gentleman, Nevado. He says, I'm in two minds with that. I appreciate someone with high standards not wanting to match them, but be able to work towards a
Mm.
platform we can build on to share and to grow. The standard thing I don't get. It's like saying you got more than me, so it not go work, right? And then he goes on to say, here's the other thing. His new lady lives in one of the richest places in Stockholm, and we thought it would be fun to do things together, like going shopping to buy clothes and stuff. They went shopping, and she bought a dress for £10, and he was really surprised by that for a lady of her standard. But when she put the dress on, he said, I would easily have paid £200 for that. So high standards, we need to think about it in a relationship. So I'm just going to come back and just to
Mm.
say, let's just have a little bit of a conversation about that.
Okay.
For me, again, this is I determine this as high standards. He is looking at the value on a monetary scale. She lives in one of the most richest places in, you know, where she lives. They went shopping, but she bought the cheapest dress.
Mm.
So my thing is that, as I said, I think that the statement is subjective to what you think, and I think that for me personally, my standards are built around respect, are built around value, you know, and those types. It's not built around money. For me,
Mm.
as I always say, respect is the minimum. That's the minimum. If there's no respect, there's no relationship.
Mm.
It can't work. That
Yeah.
can't work for me. But I think that there is this perception that standards mean money. High standards means money, means that you are maybe in a different league, or I don't know. But that was a general, to those who had comments, apart from your comment, most of them were on that tip. Somebody else
Mm.
said that they felt that you have to kind of give and take in a relationship, and one person might not be at the place where you are, and so it just depends on what you value most.
Mm.
And it, you know, and that
That's
was
true.
a lady that said that. The last comment was from a man, and I'm
Right.
trying to. What are your thoughts?
It's true about the give and take. Any relationship, there has that you're no two people are the same. So in growing together, communication is the key, compromise is the key to a certain extent where you're both valued by each other. So if you don't have respect for each other, and well, if one doesn't have respect for the other or vice versa, um, the compromising that you would be expected to do, or to get the give and take that you would be expected of you, might be compromising your standards. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Mm,
that it's there's mindfulness, there's compromise, there's communication, right? And respect. So at the end of the day, respect is the key. Understanding,
mhm,
empathy, um, wisdom, communication is big on the agenda. And
mm,
value doesn't mean money. Value, you can have lots of money, right? Like I said before, you can have a lot of money, but then have low standards,
yeah.
and you could be miserable. Or
Mm,
you can have a little money or no money, but the quality of your relationship is fantastic because of your partnership. The partnership that goes along with the struggle and growing together and supporting one another is invaluable. You can't put a price on that.
mm,
So in a lot of cases, especially with men, they put value on what they own and what they can give, right? Whereas women are more on the mental tip. They are more about the conversation, the emotion, and the nurturing and that kind of thing. Um, but one works in hand with the other, if
mhm,
you're saying. But then you have the story that you just gave about the woman who she was loaded, or she lived in
mm,
an affluent area, and she went and she got a dress for £10,
mm.
right? For me, I think she's smart, because you can take something that's cost £10. The money's not the object, it's how you can put that on and make it look like £100,
Yeah, and
right?
that's what he said.
Or
Yeah.
you take something that has got a good cut to it, and you can dress it up and make it look amazing.
Mm,
So it's not about the price tag, it's about the end result,
mm,
you know, and how you can put something together to make it look great. Um, and I think a lot of people look at the wrong things, um, in placing their mark or scoring on somebody's value.
Mm.
Uh, when it comes to relationship, especially over this past period, people have got more in touch with what is valuable rather than what costs.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So
Yeah.
they're going back to basics and what's meaningful in life, and it's
Hmm.
all about relationship. Relationship is very important. How you connect with people, that heart connection, because the heart connection in a relationship is big. Because if you're if you're going to have that longevity in any relationship,
Hmm.
um, the outward appearance becomes superficial.
Yeah.
If you don't have that heart connection, you know, you get to know the person from um, that level. You get to know how they how to love that person, the way that they understand, you know, and they get to know you, how to understand how you need to be loved. So
Mm.
it's not about how you think that person should be loved. You have to get to know how they function, how they work,
Mm.
to give them the love that they will receive it in the way that they will feel loved.
Mm.
I'm saying so. You have to pay attention to certain things, and the listening aspect in a relationship is extremely important as well. That's like the main part of communication.
It
So
is. So
yeah,
that's a high value for you. That, well,
yeah,
it's a high value for most women. I would say that most women, most people want to be heard. They want to feel like they're being heard. They want to feel like they've been listened to. They want to feel like their partner gets them,
mm, mm,
understands them. And I think that in most case scenarios, in most relationships, maybe that is the case and maybe it's not. I don't
mm,
know. I think that um there is a thing. I do know that there are, especially as things have happened over the last 2 years, and people are evaluating more about what they want, and people
mm,
actually know more about what they want. I don't think that many people knew exactly what they wanted
mm,
before this pandemic. They knew what they didn't want, but
mm,
not actually what they wanted. And I think this time has given people the ability to reflect more on what they actually want. Marriages, we know that there have been thousands of marriages that have broken down in that time when we were all locked in our homes because people
mm,
didn't spend that amount of time with their partners. It was
mm,
like we was all pushed together, and then yeah, get on with it and see how you get on. And
mm.
there was lots of, I mean, domestic violence went up, I believe, in that time,
Yeah.
and so we began to see some things differently, and so
Mm,
now that we've been through that time, and people are now knowing what they want, I think women, especially, excuse me, I knew this would happen. Excuse me.
yeah.
Women, especially now, are speaking out and saying exactly what they want, and I
Mm,
feel like I personally feel like now certain women are becoming more intimidating to men, or men feel more intimidated by certain women now,
mm,
more so now than what they ever have. And that's because we are now very clear, whereas before I don't think women were very clear about what they wanted. But I think
mm,
women more so are very clear about what they want, and they're not frightened to say so now. And so
mm,
even with this whole thing on Facebook saying, is it better to be be better to be on your own? A lot of women, and most of the comments came from women, have said, yeah, I'd rather be on my own than to settle and be in a relationship and settle for less than what I deserve.
yeah.
So I think,
I,
go on.
I agree, but what we have to still remember is that um, men I mean, for the longest time, especially black men, I would say that they have a lot to deal with out there anyway. And for us women, we do need to um, we do need to help to kind of build up or support um, our black men because of what society deals. And I'm not saying that because they shouldn't be able to stand up for themselves. I'm just saying that because they have been demasculated a lot. Men in general have been demasculated
All
a
right.
lot just because of the way that society is. And I think women um, also have had to carry the load, especially in single parent situations. Women have had to carry the load um, that really a man should carry. And they've had to do that because men have kind of stepped back where they can, and a woman has who's had to be independent. Well, not so much independent. She's had no choice but to be um, independent because she's had to keep things going
Mm.
um, where they've kind of taken the easy route. And um, I think they really need to kind of take their place for women to kind of to respect them as men more, so they don't have to be. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know.
So,
I think women should have an element of independence as far as like their life being in control of their life is concerned. But when you're in a relationship, a man should really be the protective one, the one where a woman shouldn't have to worry about all of that. And you know, she's the nurturer. He's supposed That's the way that it's supposed to be anyway. I think that
I think,
in this society, men think that being the man in the home means that they dominate or they're in charge and they control and all that. And they have, in many cases, have forgotten what it is to support their women as the queen of the home and make
yeah,
her feel safe because they are there, you know.
I think, I think there's more than one thing that you said that I want to comment on. Um, and I think that some men have lost their footing in the home, and some men do believe that it's all about them. I think that is changing. But
Mm,
one of the things that I just want to play devil's advocate here, just for a moment, and in terms of, what we say about men, they've been emasculated, that they need us to support them and blah blah blah. My thing is, and I'm playing devil's advocate, so this is not necessarily my thought process, but I just want to throw it
mm,
out there that you're right, men have gone through a hard time, but so have women, and
mm,
women are still underpaid, they're still undervalued, they're
mm,
still we have our own struggles. So why
yeah,
is it that we have to then look after the men when they're not looking after us? When especially nowadays, not all men and not
mm,
all black men do this, and I want to make this very, very clear. But there are a cohort of men who do
mm,
nothing but slate and degrade women, especially black women, and they
yeah,
are black themselves. So why
mhm,
should a woman now, why should any woman turn around now and say, do you know what, I'm gonna be doing this, that to help my brothers when they're not helping us? We're left. As
mm,
a matter of fact, I heard a man say the other day, with every child a woman has, she devalues herself. She loses credits because she's had children. She loses credits because she's older. She loses credit because of this, because of that, because of this is a black man with a black
Mhm.
mother and a black father. This is what he was saying online to thousands of people, right? So
Yeah.
my thing is, why should we now, as a black woman, hearing that, why should I? Why should I take my time and be building up men
Mm.
if they're going to do, if that's how they see us? And I know that's one example. There's many, but
Yeah.
you know,
So,
why
so
should why
somebody who's with somebody who has made a stupid comment like that is somebody who needs an education. He needs to understand the value of a woman. He needs to understand what it means to have a child. He needs to
he's not the
understand.
only one. That's the point.
Yeah,
That's the
I know.
point.
And
You
there
know.
are there are many men that think that way, but
Mm.
those men don't really understand. They obviously haven't got a clue what they're talking about. So when they make comments like that, um, it's from a place of a lack of insight into what it really is to have a child and to be a woman in this society. You know, to me, that comment is just ridiculous. It's ill-informed. So I wouldn't even pay
Mm,
it.
mm,
I mean,
to be fair.
you pay attention to the fact that a man can even utter that stupidness out of their mouth,
Mm.
but then it's for us to like, especially when we've got sons, we've got young men coming up, for them to um, have a better understanding of their role in society and how valuable it is to, you know, if you don't know, if you haven't got the insight or the tools, as it were, to lead your family or to take on a woman into your life and make her feel safe and protected and whatever, you might as well be by yourself as a man until you learn how to do that, because it's a responsibility for a man to do that. And there's so many men out there that they take on somebody into their life and they think, okay, she's my wife now, she can cook, clean, and God knows what. So really, they just want somebody to baby them. That's not being a man. A man has, a man will stand up and protect his family. He will make his family feel safe. He'll give his life for his family, you know.
Yeah, I
And a
agree.
woman shouldn't have to, a woman shouldn't have to struggle or to feel um, like she's unsafe in in the home where there's a man there. She shouldn't have to feel that way.
But what do you say to the men who say to the women, it's equal, it's equality now?
That's
So
just an excuse for them to be able to be how they want. That's foolishness. It's not about a man. It should be a man, and a woman should be a woman. A woman and a man, they are both equal, but they have different roles to play. There are different dynamics to being a woman than there is to be a man. And if a
mhm,
man doesn't understand that and a woman doesn't understand that, then they're going to have this problem. A woman does things that a man should be doing because she is on her own and she has no choice,
mm,
right? That is the reason why things have happened this way. And they felt, well, okay, well, we've had to go out and work, so we should have equal rights. We should be able to do this, and we don't need a man to do that. And yeah, in a way, some in some ways, it's been to the detriment of the woman to be bawling equal white rights and women's lib and all that. But it should not be an easy way out for a man to use that statement so that he doesn't have to do what he should be doing as a man, because it nobody can tell you how you should function if you know that it's the right way to function. It shouldn't be something that you use as an excuse not to function in the right way. That's just somebody else's perception or somebody else's opinion. because
Mm.
they want to live a certain way. But a man's role is a man's role, and a woman's role is a woman's role, as far as I'm concerned. And the reason
Right.
why things are so confused is because um, the roles have been become confused. I mean, you're living in a society now where things are tough. Everybody has to work. That's fine. So I can honestly say that it is really about partnership, and you know where I mean you've got scenarios where a man might have to stay at home with the kids and a woman might go out to work. You know, just
Yeah,
because
might be the higher earner. Yeah.
she might be a high earner. It might be that he just isn't able to pin down the job because it's tougher for a man in in that scenario to pin down a job, you know. But it's not for lack of trying. And
But
she knows there be
I
lots of
don't buy
jobs.
that. I don't buy that at all. I
No,
don't buy
but he might be trying to get a job,
No,
right?
I think that there is work out there. Any man that wants to
Mm.
find a job will find a
They
job.
will find a job, yeah.
They
I'm not
can.
saying a man who's lazy and he's just going to be in the house and he's not going to be out there looking. There are men that will be looking, and it takes them a while, and they might eventually get a job, but then it might take them a while, and in that time they're not going to be lazy about it. But in that scenario, it might be the woman that is earning. She might
Mm,
be the higher earning. She might have to carry things for a little while, but they still work together in partnership,
mm,
you know. So there are things that he can be doing, and things that she, to compensate for him not bringing in as much money or the money at that period of time. So I'm not saying that things might not happen the way you want it to happen all the time. You
mm.
know, life happens, situations happen.
It does.
You know,
But
a lot of people have lost their jobs, and things are tough. You don't know whether it's going to be the woman or it's going to be the man that doesn't have the income at one point or another. But
so
it's
do you
not.
think that the man loses value, or his
No, it
standard?
doesn't make him lose value. A relationship is about give and take. It's about understanding. It's
Mhm,
about, you know, being mindful of the realities in life, and not, um, not making somebody feel like they're less than because something's happened
mm.
along the way that's disadvantaged them in a way. It's about working together as a team, and things work out in the end, hopefully. But it doesn't mean you treat your partner any less just because something's happened like that.
No, no, I don't think you
Not
do.
understanding.
I'm just trying to determine in terms of the initial what we're talking about in terms of the
Mm,
value or you know, the standard of, because, it might be that because we've already determined that the standard is not about money, it's
mm.
about how you're treated. So that's one thing. I think we're
Yeah,
in agreement there.
yeah, but
But what
character.
but then what happens when you've got you are the higher earner, for instance, and your partner um is a lower earner? I mean, you can. To me, it doesn't really matter what you're earning because it's about how you
Mm,
feel about the person. As long as a person's got, um, for me, ambition and is a hard working or
mm.
smart working person, then I for me that's enough for me as long as because but for me, if a man is unemployed, I would just say sorry, no, thank you. I would,
Mm,
how long have you been unemployed? If it was a month, 2 months, 3 months tops, then yeah, I'd still have a conversation. But if he's, you know, 2 years, 3 years unemployed, I'm not interested.
no,
And that for
I
me is
know
not about. It's
there's
not
a reason
about.
for that.
At your phone. It's not a standard. That's just a value. I value myself that way.
Mm,
That I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be interested in somebody like that.
mm,
Uh, who's not got the ambition, because if you
mm.
can't find a job, create one. That's my
Yeah,
you
Be
know.
progressive.
Yeah, and that's what I say. If someone says, "Oh, but they're not working and it's hard for them," no, that's an excuse. As far as
Mm,
I'm concerned, if you can't find a job, you create one.
yeah.
Make a way of making money because there's so much things out there that and
Mm,
resources out there that you can make money from. You can make money from just sitting on the internet.
yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what
If
I
a
mean?
man's not progressive, he's not forward thinking, um, and he isn't out there looking, and he's, you know, the character of the person that you're with. You know, I wouldn't just go and pick up somebody who is a bum, lazy,
Mm,
and just isn't working for not the working sake. It would have to be, um, I mean, he would have to have a job anyway, but if you were in a relationship, a long-term relationship, and he lost his job through redundancy, or
mm,
he had an injury or something that made him, incapacitated or whatever, um, then there would be understanding where that's concerned. But
mm,
the man would still need to be ambitious,
mm,
you know, and forward thinking and want to be progressive and be making steps to, do something, I would say,
yeah,
unless he was disabled when you're having to be his carer or something,
mm.
you know.
For those of
So
you who are just hold on, just joined in, we are talking about is it should you be happy being single with your high standards, or is it better to compromise and be with somebody with less value than you? That's the question that we're asking this evening. For those of you who are on, if you want to join us and want to come into the chat in the last 15, actually 12 minutes, the last 12 minutes of the show, we're going to open it up and you can jump in if you have something of value to say. Okay, so myself here with Charmain Elliott, and we are talking about this subject just as a matter of course, because we have a Facebook group where the chat was kicking off, and we heard lots of things. A married person said that's her mantra. Fiona Impress Lynch said it's better to be single with high standards than in a relationship settling for less. That's her mantra. She's a married woman. Um, One married lady said, I mostly disagree, but did not say why she disagreed. She just said she disagreed. Paul Nation said, not sure. Mrs. Good Enough beats not having Mrs. Perfect. My brother sets his dining requirements so high he can no longer enjoy the best restaurants in town because they're all crap. That's what Paul Nation says. But you know what he says? It's Miss Good Enough beats not having Mrs. Perfect.
no one's perfect, though, are they?
No, but there's perfect for you. So they're not perfect, but a perfect fit for you. And I think as a singleton, as somebody who's openly dating, um,
Mm,
it's not easy to find what you want in one person. But
mm,
that's a whole nother show. Can you
yeah.
find what you want in one person? It's not easy to find what you want in one person, especially in this time of life. I think you
Mm,
can when you're younger and you grow and you mold and you evolve and you grow together. But I think once you reach a certain age,
yeah, your
it's
tolerance is like very much reduced.
what? Oh, God.
It's all
Yeah,
about it's all about quality of life, you
yeah,
know, and
yeah.
you don't need the stress of
No,
all.
the peace is, for me, peace is a key value to
Yeah.
me. Anything that bothers my peace
Mm,
to go. It
absolutely.
cannot stay. I'm not having it around me. My
Mm,
peace is everything because it's connected to my joy, it's connected to my soul, it's connected to
mm,
how I thrive. And if you're bothering my peace, that means you're bothering a major part of my life. My whole essence is disrupted.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not having that. So you gotta go. It's as
Definitely.
simple as that. You know,
Don't need it. Bye.
this is it. I cannot, I will not. No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. So yeah, I mean we have a few other statements. I'm just gonna try and bring those up. And let's see if we can bring those comments up. But yes, it's not relationships are fundamentally the core of who we are and what we
Mm.
do. When they work, we work differently. And so if you are in a relationship or you find yourself in a relationship that you're not happy with, I'm not saying you must leave. That's not what this show is about. But we're just
Mm.
asking a question, is it better? And it's a personal, um, it is a real personal kind of question that you have to ask yourself
Mm.
and be
I
honest
mean,
with.
there's marriage relationships, and there's like if you're just dating with somebody. With dating, that's the time when that's the time where you discover or you try and fish out these things. But when you're
Yeah,
married, you know, then you've made a commitment.
yeah,
And so your communication is so important because you have to work at these things. You can't just walk out of it just like that.
yeah.
You
I
know,
think,
it's a
yeah,
different scenario. Um, you have your communication has to be on point, and you've got to be open to work towards the happiness of your relationship.
yeah, you
Um,
do.
you know, mm, bit
We had
different.
let me just read out a couple of the. So Simone Gordon said, this is her comment, no one is 100%, so there's always a level of settling. Just depends on how much percent you're willing to drop.
Mm.
Um, so, again,
Yeah.
I think it comes down to the definition of what settling is.
Yeah.
What does, or high standards, what does that mean? I think there's somebody, Zora Johnson said, she said the question in her view would be, what would your definition of high standards look like, as this is an issue of morality rather than being a singleton. That's what her thoughts are. But Delroy Tollett says a man can be of high standards with low morals, and a man with low standards can have high morals. The perfect example, our prime minister, high standards, no shame, no moral. But a lot of women would go for him because they think he's in an upper class.
But that's not standards.
That's not standard.
That's not what standards mean. If you've got high standards, you have high morals.
Yeah,
If you have low standards, you ain't got no morals.
yeah. I don't
You know,
think that. I
what
agree with you. I
standards
don't think
come
it can go
what is
hand in hand.
different? Is it money? Because he
Yeah.
don't look like he's got any money because he needs to cut his hair. Really.
Well, you think? I think he had a haircut the other day. When I saw him, and I was like,
Yeah, but
"Don't
what?
comb it." I think he just combed it.
He
I
needs to
think he
change
owns
his
it.
barbers then.
Yeah. The thing is, we know that women. There's a lot of women who are attracted to powerful men for
Mm,
whatever reason, and that's just how things go. But I don't think. I disagree with what Delroy has said here. Sarah Angela Morgan says high standards has nothing to do with money. It has much more to do with class. I personally believe in having good manners and etiquette are far more having good manners and etiquette are far more important. £1 million dress or suit on someone with no manners, no etiquette, um, comparison or moral value, I think is wasted. And that's
mm,
what she said. And I think she's basically agreeing with what we have said, really, to be fair. Yeah, to be fair. Dora also says it's better to be happy with whoever you love, settle for high or normal standards, and loneliness must suck when you could be happy with a normal person. The problem is that once a person achieves their dream, they place themselves amongst the elites and on a proud pedestal, and normal people are not in their league. So to them, it's better to stay single than to be with Mr. or Miss Happiness. Normally, that might be embarrassment to him or her amongst their elite acquaintances.
But elitism isn't about high standards. Elitism is when you put yourself on a pedestal.
Hmm.
I just don't. Elitism and relationship with a good person,
Yeah,
it's something completely different. We're talking about relationships here between two people who have good standards and they respect each other, they care about each other, they have compassion, they have understanding, and they listen to one another and they communicate well. They might not always have the perfect relationship, or they might not always see eye to eye, but they are able to have a conversation. They're
yeah,
able to exchange their views with each other, and understand each other's perspective. And sometimes might agree to disagree, but respect is always there for each other's viewpoint.
yeah,
They still feel safe to express themselves to each other without feeling like they're going to be kicked to the curb because they've said something that the other person does not agree with. There's no dogmatic kind of um, expression. There's no dumbing down of the other person because they don't agree with something that the other one said, or there's no mistreatment of somebody or silent treatment because they've said something that steps on the other person's toe. They have the freedom to be themselves, to
hmm
talk freely, to feel safe, to feel understood, to
hmm
feel loved. That's a high value relationship. It's not
Okay,
about money,
message.
it's not
I
about
want to put this in because it's from a
dress.
man, and we don't normally. I love when the men are included and they come. Christine Douglas quickly says it depends on how much. It depends on how much you invest or put into it. Sometimes you may have too much to lose, but walking away. And she
Mm,
said, but she would not stay in a relationship if it was affecting her mental health.
right.
But we have a comment. Hello, hello, hello. But we do have a comment from Earl Thomas. He says, if you was to really think about it, most women wouldn't marry a broke man nowadays. Why not, Earl? Let's quantify what you've said. Why do you think that is? And how long have you been listening to the show? Because I think a lot of women, it's not about the amount of money that the man earns. I think he needs to be earning, yes,
Mm,
but I don't think it's about the money he earns. And let's look at, some of the top entrepreneurs that are coming through now are women and are in relationships. They're married and they're earning far more than their husbands.
mm.
So let's quantify that, Earl. As we're coming up, we've got like 1 minute left. let's quantify what you're saying. And is that true? Do we find that? Is that the case that most women? Oh, here he comes. Come on, mouse. You don't want to work for me. What's going on? Now the mouse doesn't want to work. Really? That'd be about right. What's going on? Hold on. Last time I pulled a wire, the whole computer. Yeah, that's a light. A light's gone, but it's okay. I don't know what's going on here, why this has happened, but we need to go. Why have I lost my mouse? Because we have the comment. Oh, actually, let me read it out on my phone because it will come here. Put my glasses on. Okay. He says, Earl's saying, depending on the age of the woman, because most make their own money nowadays. And that's what Earl is saying. That it depends on the age of the woman. Well, we are dealing with women who are 40 upwards, I would say. There are some in the group that are less than, younger than 40, 35 upwards maybe. But I think the general consensus of women that we have on this group are over 40 plus. And yes, we are earning our own money. I think the general consensus would be as long as he's earning.
Yeah.
And has a little piece of ambition.
Right.
And he's not a runaway man that's not running around with their Susie, Pam and Jane.
Yeah, it's like honesty, integrity.
Yeah, he's coming in. Okay, so every woman I talk to says they wouldn't marry a broke man. But what is the definition of a broke man? I wouldn't marry a man who's unemployed. That's a broke man. But I would marry a man who earns. He might not earn as much as me, but he earns. He might be more in money.
And is he a good man?
Yeah, I think you have to quantify that.
You can when you have a good partnership, when you work together, you can build each other up. It's not somebody who doesn't earn a lot of money doesn't mean that he's going to remain earning not a lot of money. His situation could improve,
and probably would improve with the woman.
With the right woman behind him, yeah. But is he a good man? Does he have integrity? Does he do what he says? Does he mean what he says? Is he honest? Is he hardworking? Is he loving? Is he respectful?
Those are the things that
person. That's somebody who has good value.
Yeah. So
that's what you look for in a partner.
That's what you'd be looking for. That's what you'd be looking for.
And you got to remember.
Janetti says, yes, as long as he is contributing and he is of good nature and respectful, money is not as big an issue if two people know how to use what they have in a responsible way. Earl Thomas has just said, women get away with too much in this country because other places you're not allowed to have money. What? Less than. You're causing trouble tonight.
Not a good situation.
You're trying to cause trouble. Women get away with too much in this country because in other places in the world, you're not allowed to have less than your husband, unless he's your husband. The man must have more.
Well, let's hope he takes his finger out and he has more then. Otherwise, he shouldn't take on a woman if that's the situation out there.
Yeah, that's
and then
it.
She won't have to struggle, will she?
Exactly. My thing is, as you said, the bruck man must be an unemployed man, right? That's a bruck man is to me, a bruck man actually is somebody that is maybe homeless and down on their luck because they've lost their home, the roof, the heating, the warmth, the happiness, because heating brings warmth and happiness to my soul. So I'm
Mm.
just saying that man, that is down on his, that's a Brock man.
And he's
So
not in a position to take on anybody
anything
anyway.
else, right? But a man who is on the dole, and not doing nothing, not trying nothing, that I,
You can't do nothing.
no,
You can't take
no.
anybody on.
Get yourself a job, and then we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Why don't and Elle say, why don't women just marry for love nowadays? Why don't men just marry for love? That's that's
That's
that's
important.
I'll put it out there. Janetti Parrott said, that's a walk list. It's just at work. He's a walk list man in a walk. But yeah, so listen, we've actually come to the end. I do have to go. But now the conversation is starting to kind of to heat up. Elle's laughing. I don't know what's happened to this mouse. It doesn't want to move for me. Oh, there we go. It's moving again. Oh, there we go. No, it's doing its own thing. There we go. So just so that you can see, these are the things that Elle's saying, depending on the age of the woman nowadays. I think that why do people not marry for love? Because love don't pay the bills. What did Tina Turner say? What's love got to do with it? I'm
Oh,
only
no,
joking.
I would have to marry for. I couldn't marry somebody that I didn't love.
Love, yeah, absolutely.
That's what you're supposed to marry for. Otherwise, they're upon your one.
Yeah, and there's
What
too
did
many
they?
people marrying for
Dates.
different reasons and not marrying for love. Marry for love, because that I see couples who have had long-standing relationships, and it's just beautiful to see
Mm,
when they've married for love. Just to see them to this day. I've got a few friends who have been married for over 30 years, grew up with their
mm,
partners, and it's absolutely beautiful to watch. But
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Erla's hit something, the nail on the head. And there are many people, not just women, there are many people marrying for different reasons, and love is
Mm,
not one of them. So oh, they got oh.
But then that's the problem because when they go take their vows and they say to love, honor, and cherish, and they're saying those vows in front of God, and they don't love each other, then they're just fooling themselves because it's like telling a lie in front of God, isn't it? And you're
Yeah,
making other people believe something that's not.
yeah. Well, Elle says, let's go back to the old days when our elders found our partners. I think that's I wouldn't rule it out. I think
No,
for
it's
me as an
possible to
elder
look
to
for
look
you.
for, not for
It
me,
takes
for my children, not for me. No, not
it's nice if that happens and they find you somebody that you can fall in love with. Yeah, that's fine.
mm,
Takes a bit of the hard work out for you going looking for yourself. But love
yeah.
should always be the reason why you get married.
It should
It should
be,
be anything else.
but there's other
I'm sorry.
reasons. They marry for class, they marry for money, all sorts of different reasons people get married these days.
Mm,
So listen, we've come to the end of the show, and I think the general consensus of the show, I think the general consensus of all of what was written on our group is that it's better to be single than to be in a relationship where you're just making do for the sake
mm,
of being in a relationship. I
yeah,
think you need to really be passionate about who you are with and why you are with them.
absolutely.
Elle is saying no way. No way to what, Elle? Listen, we come to the end of the show. Make it clear. Quick, write your comment. Because we are here every Tuesday. Oh, I'd like to invite you back on Tuesday. I like men who are interactive. Last week we had Dr. Phil. We had a few men actually on last week, and it was so nice.
Mm,
He's saying no way, being single is better to be single than to be with just making do with somebody for the sake of it, to be with
mm.
them. listen to me and listen me good. I wouldn't want to be with nobody who felt that way about me, that they're
Yeah.
just, I wouldn't want them to be with me. If you're going to be with me, you're going to be with me
Because
wholeheartedly.
you want to be, and
Yeah,
because you have that heart connection.
yeah,
Definitely.
we deserve that, and I think everyone deserves that. So listen,
Mm.
guys, we've come to the end. We're over time. I'm looking at this. Yeah, we're over time. I have to go. But thank you for joining me this evening. Charmaine, thank you so much for
You're
being.
welcome.
What's he
Okay.
saying? That is hurt talk. No, darling, that's not hurt talk. That's just,
It's just
talk.
the
It's just
truth.
reality.
Accept it.
Yeah, this is just reality.
Just what
Life
it is.
experience. Life gives us experiences, and we recognize and we learn from those experiences. And I think that,
Mm.
for me personally, I wouldn't want to be somebody's second best. No, why
Mm.
would I want to do that? Why would I want somebody to be with me just for the sake of being with me because they don't want to be on their own?
Mm.
No, no. I have to be the first joy to
Mm.
everything. Otherwise,
Exactly.
I'm not interested. So, I hear what you're saying, Elle, but I invite you to come back next week. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, we'll be here talking about another. Actually, I want to do. I have a conversation on what do you do when you are. Let me just say this. I had a client speak to me, and this is not recent, and met somebody, had a very nice, but didn't like the way they ended up having a sexual connection, and when they had that, felt that she didn't like it. She didn't like how he was. Didn't like how she found he was quite aggressive. So
Mm.
what do you do? What do you do? How do you have? And I know this is a real hard subject, and it has a lot to do with consent. But I do
Mm.
want to talk about. I'm not saying we'll talk about it next week. So I would really like to get some experts on as well, who have expertise in consent and knowing all about that. But that is a subject that I would really love to talk about. When is no not no? When does no become a grey area, or when does yes become a grey area? Should I say?
Exactly.
Sex cloud love. I don't understand it, Elle. Anyway, listen. We talk about sex, we talk about love, we talk about relationships, we talk about all things relationship. And so if you go back on YouTube, you'll see lots and lots of content on relationships, on sex shows, on sex toys, on all kinds of things. Just go on the YouTube page, you will find it. And we will be back here next week. We're just trying a new thing. Sex can cloud love. Oh, okay. Yeah, it can. That's why it's always better to wait. Anyway, so let me just say, I will see you next week. Do come again. Do tell your friends. Come and chat. And as I say, if you want to get involved, I'm very happy for you to come on and say your piece next week. So we'll have another conversation next week, Tuesday, same time, 8 o'clock, as we are preparing for the After Dark show to start on the 22nd. So this is the prequel, pre-sequel. As I said, I don't even know what that means, but never mind. I like to make words up. So I will see you next week. Charmaine, thank you so much for being here and putting your all your thoughts and everything into this conversation. Thank you, and we'll be back here next week. And I'll be here Friday morning for morning inspiration, 9 o'clock on Friday morning. But for now, let's say goodbye. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, 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 ciao. See you guys. I will see you on Friday, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 a.m. And we'll be back here Tuesday, 8 a.m. 8 p.m. should I say. But for now, let's go. GEM Academy Membership Hub is officially reopening its doors. GEM is the Global Empowerment Movement Academy for women who want to inspire and create influence and impact in their communities and globally. So if you are a woman who wants to create a better lifestyle for yourself and your family, and you may even have a side hustle and want to make more money while you sleep, this is the network for you. We're given an opportunity for 5 women who are bold, who are brave and have a vision and are ready to up-level and elevate and excel in their business. At GEM, you will create, build and grow within a sisterhood of like-minded women on the rise. So, do yourself a favour today. Join GEM without delay.